today behind me is a 2013 Dodge Charger 5.7 Hemi. I'm going to be changing the oil pressure sensor. Now that is the sensor I'm using. So let's get to work. First I'm going to show you where the sensor is. Alright, so looking from the passenger side up top, see the alternator. You see the little bit of brass. The orange thread lock right there, there's a sensor. Alright, so I went ahead and removed the air intake tube. So I get down the tensioner and release the belt off around the alternator to get a little bit more room. Alright, what I went ahead and did was just pulled the belt off right here. That way, all this over here is all the same, so the only thing I got to worry about putting the belt on is that. Alright, so the original plan was try to unplug the sensor without removing the alternator. That's not working so well for me. So, I'm going to go ahead and loosen and remove the alternator out of the way. I already got this one loose. I thought it was going to be harder to get to than what it is, but I already got to the bottom bolt, one of the bottom bolts from up top. Now I just got to get the other one loosened right behind it, which, to tell you the truth, I think I spend more time trying to unplug the sensor without removing the alternator than how long it's going to take to loosen and remove the alternator. It is kind of crammed back in there. There are 3 bolts, like I said, on the alternator. It's gonna be hard to show it on film. So I understand some people will be frustrated about that, but some things are just, you just have to feel for. Alright, so now here's what I've done. Went through and got all 3 bolts loose. Use a ratchet wrench for space, and I started, and you're not going to pull the 2 bottom bolts all the way out, but you can get them all the way loose and you'll feel them freed up. But you got to do the one in the back of the alternator first to give you more space, then the one in the front bottom of the alternator, and then you can simply get the top one, which it does have a lot of thread on it, so it takes a minute, especially with those bottom ones, so you'll feel like you're doing this forever. And I had to use a ratchet wrench most of the time because the 2 bottom ones I could not actually turn by hand like this. So it really made it take a while longer. There we go. Now, as you can see, just by moving the alternator like that, I now have space to reach the plug. And I know a lot of people say it's a lot of, you can do it without removing the alternator. I tried it. I wasted more time than what it did to take the alternator off, trying to figure out how I could reach because I can't see. Now it did take me a little bit of trying and prying to finally get this one to loosen off. Alright, so a little bit better of an example. Now that's off, you can actually see. That's got to be pulled up, and then you got this little button to push here. Now of course there's a lot of stuff in the way, so it's going to be an awkward shot to try to capture. But what I have is a deep weld 1 1/16" socket. And just going to slide it over it. And it's really not even that tight, to tell you the truth. So we're going to put it on just about how it was and just kind of snug it down like this one was. Now there's the old one, a new one. I'm just going to go ahead and reach up in here. And get it started by hand. And just be careful not to damage the plastic on it. By doing this, if you feel more comfortable, you could use a open-end wrench or even a boxed-in wrench, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to go ahead and slide the socket on. Hold the extension I'm using so it doesn't put any pressure on the plastic. Now I probably got a little bit tighter than it was. That was on there, but it really took no effort to take the old one off. I don't know the torque specs, which it wouldn't be much. Now somehow I got it in the same orientation that I removed it. So it's going to make it easy. I'm just going to clip it on. Now for the alternator, not that y'all can see, but I'm going to attempt to get the lower back started. And lined up. Threads in. Then I pull that up right there. Couple threads in. I'm going to try to line up. Hopefully if it lines up, if you got it started, then the lower front should just go in just like that. Now I'm going to tighten them all down. And I'll start with this upper one first. I'm going to snug it down, then I will snug down the lower front and then the lower rear. And once I get them snug down, then I'll take my socket wrench and actually tighten them down. Now I'm going to reinstall the belt, put the air duct back on, Plug the sensor back in, put the engine cover back on. Alright, so there it is. Oil pressure sensor is changed. Now, hindsight, after doing this, seen people do it, or try to do it, and do it. It's not taking the alternator off. Really, it's not that hard to take the alternator off. I did it from up top, didn't have to crawl underneath. Didn't take very long to unbolt the alternator and get it completely out of my way. Had to take the belt off anyway in order to even get my hands anywhere near the sensor, so just easy to remove the alternator. Other than that, the sensor itself is easy. The plug is a little bit of a pain, but I'm going to show you you can do it in your own driveway yourself. Get the job done without paying the shop a lot of money. I hope this information proved helpful to you. As always, thanks for watching.